So imagine with me for a second, you're a young lady who likes painting little guys, small fellers, just little dudes. But you also want to paint some young ladies too, just like yourself. So you shop around, but gasp, you can't find anything that grabs your attention. There's buff men, buffer men, Linus tech tips, and big stompy robots. But the only ladies that show up are a tradcast dream woman. But eventually you find something that tickles your fancy. A group of ladies that make space marines look like newborn babies. Welcome, guys, gals, and NB pals, to the first episode of my series that I'm calling Women in Warhammer, where I talk about cool ladies in the Warhammer setting that I just think are neat. And for the first episode, we're starting with the Sisters of Silence. Sisters of Silence came into being around the same time as the Adeptus Custodes, who were the bodyguards of the Emperor. However, the Custodes had a very big weakness. For all their strength and power in their training, they lacked the ability to use psychic magic, pulling power from a hellish place in space called the Warp, and using it to strike down their enemies. This meant that if they were faced with someone who could use these abilities, called a Psyker, they would have no way to counter them. Luckily for the Emperor and his Golden Guardians, however, there was a solution for this. Whenever someone in the galaxy is born, they get a soul. But what happens if that doesn't happen? You get a blank, someone with absolutely no psychic presence whatsoever. A blank can interfere with the Psyker's connection to the Warp, causing them to sometimes just die on the spot, or cause immense amount of pain and suffering to any Psykers around them. It's like if you put a wall in between you and your router. The more psychically attuned that you are, the more likely that a blank could cause harm. Even normal people who aren't psychers still feel this air of strange sickness, as if their mind is disconnected from the warp, and this often causes parents to go mad and kill blanks who are their children. Sisters of Silence are these children who, for one reason or another, survived their birth and upbringing and were taken by the Emperor and later the Inquisition, given the same training as Custodes, and told to go hunt any and all psychic anomalies, such as rogue psychers, demons, etc. They were, along with the Custodes, given the ability to walk around within the Imperial Palace during the Great Crusade, a long period of time where humanity carried out a genocide on anything that wasn't a human. They would also ensure the tithe of Psykers from every Imperial world to Terra was being done, known as the Great Tithe or the Psyker Cull by some. This tithe is what gave Terra and the Imperium in general its power, and because of that, it made these Sisters of Silence very important to the Imperium. During the early days of the Horus Heresy, the son of the Emperor, Horus Lupercal, decided to betray his father. The Sisters of Silence served an important role in fighting him and the many Psykers that existed among his traitor legions, as well as fighting against any demons that would be summoned in the aftermath. One of these sisters was Amandera Kendall, who was ordered to serve alongside the Death Guard during the Great Crusade, and was even there at Isfahan III during the start of the Horus Heresy. If you know anything about the Death Guard, you'll know that things didn't turn out very well for them. However, because of Kendall's presence, Nathaniel Garrow, one of the captains of the Death Guard, managed to avoid being turned traitor and serving the god of rot and decay. Together with Nathaniel, she fought one of the survivors of the crash ship called the Eisenstein, Solon Decius, who transformed into a demonic creature known as the Lord of Flies. After the battle, she met up with the acting crews of the Luna Wolves, as well as Malkador the Sigillite. He offered Kendall, Cruz, and Garrow a role within the newly formed Inquisition. She was one of the first humans to order exterminatus, which is when a planet is moved to oblivion and scoured clean of all life. She did this on the treacherous planet of Proxima Majoris. Sometime in between the Horus Heresy and the 41st millennium, however, Sisters of Silence were chased out and sent into exile by the Imperium they'd once protected. For around 1500 years, they sat on the edge of the galaxy in exile, until they returned to save the Imperium that had cast them out from an Orc Law in the 32nd millennium. When Rabute Gilliman, Primarch of the Ultramarines Legion of Space Marines, was resurrected, the Sisters of Silence were allowed back into the ranks of the Imperium, allowing them to serve the Emperor once more. One of the sisters in this era was Tanal Alea. She had been sent into exile as part of the Sisters of Silence. During the 13th Black Crusade against the Imperium, Alea was sent to a void station to hunt down a Chaos cultist. Upon killing him, she discovered that the heretic was communicating with the traitor Astartes, planning an invasion of the planet Aressa, Alea's home planet. However, it was too late for her people. All she found was a message reading, "He calls his daughters home." She came to the realization quickly that this was a call for the sisters to return to Terra. On her way back, however, her ship failed, and it was only through chance that she encountered a custodian who brought her back to Terra. There, she'd meet the custodian Valerian, one of the captains of the Adeptus Custodes. She fought against a bunch of heretics, including a massive bloodthirster demon. Alea, however, still yearning for vengeance against Abaddon's Black Legion, tracked down the warband that wiped out her home. She struggled to defeat them, even with the help of Valerian. However, it was her luck that Guilliman would arrive and save Alea and her companions. On the tabletop, Sisters of Silence serve alongside their brothers, the Adeptus Custodes, allowing them to cover more ground as an army. Sisters of Silence, compared to the rest of the Custodes, are cheap in points and make for good objective control models. They have pretty decent weapons, flamethrowers that auto-hit, Space Marine bolters, and very good melee options. They have a few unique characters and models, but not enough to make a proper Sisters-only army. Their models are fiddly to put together, so I wouldn't recommend them for a first-time hobbyist, despite how detailed and impressive the sculpts are. The good news, however, is that they're easy to paint. They have so much detail you can take advantage of contrast paints, washes, and dry brushing. If you'd like a more detailed video and look at the Custodes as a whole, I'd recommend Pancreas No Works video about the Custodes. So, that's the first episode of Women in Warhammer. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, a comment, and maybe even subscribe. And always remember that the future is very, very queer.